Okay, so for this this tutorial today, we are going to make personal, professional, whatever kind of website that you'd like using GitHub. So this is my current website. It's not great, but it looks okay, I think. There are a few bugs, like for some reason the email icon isn't showing up, and I will need to fix that. But this is my website. There are many others that look a lot nicer, and this is all done entirely for free using GitHub. So that's very nice. I can show you a few others that also use GitHub. So this is someone else's website. This is one of my colleagues, Nora, and she also uses a very similar website template on GitHub. So you can see that you can have your name, you can have where you're located, and then links to all of your email or any of your social media sites, and you can add more than this too. There are also, just need to get the Zoom window out of my way. So there are different pages. You can click and see her research. They're organized over here, so we can click and it'll take us to that spot. There's a list of publications and then a CV where we can download it here. Let me check the chat. Yes, I think I'm recording this locally, so we should be all set. So, and what you'll notice if you look up here, the URL to these pages is this person's name.github.io. If you go back to mine is pagem.github.io. So it turns out that when you create a GitHub login, so you create your username, then for each account that you have on GitHub, you have one URL where they will host a website for you for free. And that URL has to be your username and then .github.io. So for me, my username on GitHub is pagem. So it's pagem.github.io. And yeah, please feel free to ask questions as we go. I'll do my best to monitor the chat as well. So these are just some examples of kind of websites of kind of personal researchers. I'll focus kind of more on academic style websites today, but there are a lot of templates that you can use. There are also a lot of different ways to create websites on GitHub. So I'm going to show you one that I think is quite easy, where we basically just take someone else's template and then copy it, and then we put our own name in and our own information. But there are a lot of other options, so just keep that in mind. So for this tutorial, you will need to go to GitHub if you want to follow along, and if you don't already have a GitHub account, you will need to sign up. So you can click sign up in the upper right corner. It has this really fun little welcome to GitHub. And then you will enter your email here, and then you will follow the steps. It's pretty quick. It probably takes 2 minutes. It does send you an email to verify that it's a correct email. Then you'll have to check your email, copy the code in, and then you will have a GitHub account. So just out of curiosity, who here has a GitHub account already? Does anyone have one? Okay, all right. Daniel and Olawale, the other instructors, great. Oh, Curtis, excellent. Okay, oh, I see there's something in the chat. Yes, hello. Feel free to type questions in the chat, or you can unmute and ask your question. We just ask that you then mute again afterward, because I don't have host privileges and I can't mute anyone. Sometimes we forget to mute. So you know what? I just realized I'm going to stop sharing for a moment and double check. I'm trying to record this locally and realize that I think, all right. Sorry, I just lost the Zoom window. There we go. Okay. So I will share screen again. Okay, so the first step is to sign up for GitHub. GitHub is something, yes? I am not recording through Zoom because I am not the host on this meeting. So I'm recording through my local computer. So it won't be quite as good because you'll actually be seeing the Zoom controls. But yeah, sorry about that. It's incredible how difficult it is on Zoom to make sure that the right person is host, because you have to have an email address from the same university or the same institution. And our summer school, we're all from different institutions. So anyway, sorry about that. But thank you. Thanks for pointing that out. I appreciate that. Okay, so once you have a GitHub, I actually created a kind of a second account just so I could walk you through the steps without interrupting my actual website. So this is just my second account. I don't have anything, I don't have any repositories. So it says, no public repositories yet. So I don't have anything here. This is a very new account, joined 10 hours ago. I don't have anything here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for a specific template that I like, and this is the template. And this is just one that I'd come across that's very similar to the one that I used for my website. And this one's called Academic Pages. And I'm going to click on their GitHub here. And if we go over here, we can click here. And we see that this is a GitHub repository from someone named Academic Pages. And we can see here, like I was pointing out before, the URL is their username, academicpages.github.io. So that's actually the repository folder name. And if I scroll down, you can see that there are a lot of folders and files here. And all of these files here are what generate this website. So this website it's generic, you can see that. It says things like your sidebar name. So, if this were for me, I would take this and say Paige Martin. I'd put my location, I'd add my own links, I'd add my own information here. But basically, this is a really nice template for us to start from. And so the easiest way for us to start from this template is to go up into the corner here and to fork this website. So if you are following along, I will send this link in the chat. It auto-corrected to Academic Pages GitHub repository. And I can send the link to the rendered website as well. So those are the two links that I'm looking at. So if you go to the one that's the GitHub repository, then you go up to the corner here, and we are going to fork this. So if you didn't take part in the GitHub and Git tutorial earlier in the week, that's fine. I'm trying to have as minimal kind of GitHub interaction as possible to do this. But a fork is essentially making a copy of all of these files, but I'm going to copy it into my own account. And you'll see what happens. So I'm going to click fork. Oh, it's having me log in again. Sorry about that. So I need to do that. you shouldn't need to have to log in again. I'm using a private window to do this. So let's try that again. I'm going to click fork. And as I hover over it, it actually says fork your own copy. That's exactly what I want to do. And it pulls up a site like this where it says create a new fork. The owner is me. So this is my GitHub username. This should come up automatically. It will automatically name it the same thing that from the original fork. So in this case, that's academicpages.github.io. So what you want to do is you want to replace academic pages with your GitHub username. So I'm going to replace this with PEM2, which is my username, which is just right here. So you would replace this with whatever your username is on GitHub. And then you can leave the you need to leave the .github.io. So you don't have a choice with what your repository name is, and you don't have a choice with what the URL is. But it is nice and short. So so that's how you name it. For now, that's all we will do. And I'm going to click the green button down here. It says create fork. And let's see if it works. So it says here forking. You can see that it's working. It just took a few seconds. So great. Now you can see here that this is now my repository. It's my username.github.io. And underneath it, it says forked from academic pages. So this is really nice. This GitHub does this, so you can kind of track where this was forked or copied from. So now if someone goes to when I make this website, if someone goes to this website, my website, and they say, whoa, that's really nice, I want to make that website, they can go to this GitHub and they can see that I forked it from this repository, and they can do the same thing. So it's a really nice, kind of very transparent way to see what people are doing. Okay, so this is our repository. Let's actually find out. So theoretically, this should yield a website at pem.github.io. So I'm going to open up a new tab and see if that rendered. Nope, not yet. Okay. So we might need to make an update first. The other thing I will say is that I haven't created very many websites on GitHub. I've done a few. So we're kind of walking through this today. I haven't done it for a while. I have my current website, but things have changed a little bit in how GitHub does this. So so this is going to be rather informal, and I will be walking through the steps, and I will probably run into errors because I also am not an expert at this, but hopefully we can walk through it together and figure things out. So so I'm looking at all these files, and there are a lot of files, and it's really hard to know what they mean. So because I have looked at some GitHub websites before, I actually know some of the structure. I'm just going to try something and go into the pages folder, and then I see that there's about.md. So .md is a markdown file. So I am going to click on that and see what's there. If I go back to the rendered website, you can see that this, what I'm seeing here, a data-driven personal website, is actually this title right here, a data-driven personal website. So I found the page that creates all of the text for all of this portion of the website. Still, I was just going to try this. Nope, okay. Then we need to make an update. So basically, how these websites work, well, let's see if this works, and then I'll talk you through it. We'll make sure that it works. So I've clicked on this underscore pages folder, and then I clicked on about.md. Now I am going to, you can see that we're seeing a preview of this. You can also just view it as code. I'm going to go over into the right corner, and there's this little pencil that says edit this file, and I'm going to click that. So I am going to change this line here, this a data-driven personal website. Let's say pages, oops, if I can spell, personal website. So I'm just going to change something and see if we can get it to show up as a website. So I'm going to click this green button here, commit changes. Again, if you were part of the GitHub or Git tutorial early this week, this might look familiar. This is committing, basically I made an update to this file, and now I have to write a little commit message. And this one is very generic, that's just fine for now, update about.md. I could also say update title of section. So I updated the title of a section. So you can kind of, it's really nice to be, somewhat specific in what you are doing. So I'll just leave it like that. We're going to keep it as a commit directly to the master branch. And then I'm going to click commit changes. And then if I go back up to the left corner here and click on code, if I click on it, there we go. Now in this banner here, it says what the last update was in this repository. So this says that PEM2, that's me, made an update to the title of a section, which is what I wrote. So now we can see this brown circle here. This means that we have a GitHub action that is going. So I'm going to click up here on Actions tab, and we can see here it says one workflow is running, and it's trying to do a pages build and deployment. So we can click on that and we can get some information. It's saying it's trying to build this website, and then when this is done, it will say it has deployed the website, and then we should be able to, fingers crossed, see this website rendered. So there we go, the build has finished. Now it's on to the reporting the build status and the deployment. So this is something called GitHub Pages, and that activates GitHub Actions. So this is a really great feature of GitHub, where you can set up things called GitHub Actions, where as soon as you make any updates to your repository, it triggers a series of steps that you can actually dictate. You can say, whenever I commit to this repository, I want, this to happen. So the reason why this is set up in this repository is because we copied over all of these files, and some of these files have the rules for actually going through the GitHub pages where it will actually deploy the website for us. So that's why I think one of the easiest ways to start a website is to fork from someone else, which you're just copying someone else's code, and so you don't have to write it yourself. You can write it yourself, and the GitHub Actions don't have to be creating a website. There are some GitHub Actions that actually will, when you make an update, it will check your spelling. It'll do a spell check, so make sure that if you're adding new content to your website or to your documentation, that you don't have any spelling mistakes. So it's a really powerful tool that, to be honest, I know about. I don't know a lot about it, but it's really great. So now we can see that there are these green check marks everywhere. So it has worked. So I'm going to click here, and here we go. This is now my website. You can see it updated. It now says Pages Personal Website down here. If we go up here, it says pem2.github.io. So that's all that we needed to do to create a website. So now, of course, this is not my website yet. It still has a generic text. You can also see that we have all of these different pages that we can add to. So we can add a publications page, talks that we've done. Maybe you do some teaching. Maybe you write blog posts. You can put those here. You can add your CV. There are all sorts of things that this website offers us. And again, this is just one of many templates that you can use. So let's go back into oops, that was the wrong, here we go. So let's go and make some more updates. So let's go back into Pages. We're going to go back into the about.md. I'm going to go and click Edit. And the actual title of the web page is here. So now I'm going to say, welcome to Pages website. So I'm adjusting the actual title of the page. So here I want to update this. So I'm going to put, you can put, whatever you'd like. There are other things here, which for now I'm going to leave. I'm just going to remove all of this text and say, thanks for visiting my website. I'll just leave it for there. You can write whatever you want here. You can write a whole paragraph like there was before. You don't have to write anything. You can say, I am an instructor at COESSING 2023. So you can write whatever you want. I am going to commit these changes. Let's see. Maybe I'll just delete all of the rest of this because we're trying to make this, your own. I'll keep that. For more information, I will also delete that. Let's see, take a look at the links above to learn more about me. So anyway, you can get the gist here. You can put whatever you want. So I'm going to commit these changes. I'm just going to keep it as update about.md. I'm going to commit those. Now I'm going to go back up here to code. It says update about.md. Let's see, I don't see the little circle, which somehow that happens sometimes. If I go over to GitHub Actions again, we can see that it's building and deploying the website again. And sometimes the deployment doesn't work and there will be an error. So if that happens, we can try and debug that together. But I'm going to let that run and we'll see how that goes. So let's go back to this website. Actually, let's go to the one that's actually the one that I adjusted that says page. Let's update this sidebar. So one reason I really like this template is I really like having this sidebar over here. It's something I can scroll down on this page over here with all of this content, but this sidebar stays there and it has kind of the useful information that people might want to know about you. So let's see if we can update this sidebar. So, so now I actually see that there's a green check mark here. That means that the GitHub action worked. So if we go back to our website and reload it, there we go. So now all that text is gone. Now it's just the text that I wrote. So I hope you can see that we've very quickly made a website. And again, feel free to ask questions as we go. I know it might be hard to follow along in real time, but this is pretty simple. I'm going to show a few more things and kind of a couple other ways you can do this, but I booked off a lot of time for this tutorial and I don't think we're going to need all of that time. So anyway, feel free to ask questions. So, right, now I want to update this sidebar. So when I was going to pages and about.md, I didn't find, there's nothing here. Nothing here says sidebar. So that's not the right place. So I can look through and try and figure out where the sidebar file might be, but it's actually just a lot easier. If I go to the main folder and I go up into this search bar here. So if I click the search bar, it pops this up and it says, the default is that it will search within the repository that I'm in, which is what I want. And I'm going to search for sidebar. And let's see what happens. So this often happens when you have a new repository. This says that this repository's code is being indexed right now. Try again in a few minutes. So I use this tool a lot, searching through a repository when I know, for instance, here I know something in this repository says sidebar because it says your sidebar name, but I don't know where it is. So I will just search sidebar. For a new repository, GitHub hasn't indexed it yet, hasn't gone through to know what is actually in it, and so it can't search. So in general, this is my suggestion that you should go through, that you should search for sidebar or whatever you're looking for, and then typically they will come up. It'll say there are 3 files that have it. There's a pull request, and anyway, there are all sorts of ways that you can filter the results, but we can't use that right now. So we can try again in a few minutes. I don't actually know how long it takes. So that's how I would do it. But I actually do know, I think, where that sidebar is. And I think it's in this file here in the root repository that's _config.yml, which is often called YAML. So let's see. I'm going to click on that. Now that I'm in here, I'm going to do a Command F on my computer, and I'm going to type sidebar. And here we go. So that's just because I've seen these sites before and I had a good guess of where it would be. So I'm going to, like the previous one, you'll notice that this extension .yml is different than the previous one, which was a .md for Markdown. And Markdown is just kind of fancy text. A YAML file is different. It's a configuration file. So it has a very specific look to it. The great thing about doing all of this and copying over from the Academic Pages site is that I'm not going to adjust any of the formatting. I'm just going to replace the specific things here that I'd like to replace. So I'm going to again go to the upper right and click Edit. I'm going to scroll down. Where was it? Here we go. And I'm going to then say this is going to be Paige Martin. That's my name. There's a photo here. Let's go back. So this, I can actually put a photo in there. Let's leave that for now. And your biography. So I can say Python instructor at COESSING. Obviously, it doesn't have to do with COESSING, but you can write whatever you want. I am actually currently in Boulder, Colorado, USA. It's my location. I don't have PubMed, so I'm just going to delete that. I won't put my Google Scholar in yet. For email, I can put my email. I can say that's pagemar@umich.edu. I'll just delete some of these. And you can see here that you can put lots of different things here. So if you want to include your Facebook, your GitHub, the GitHub, notice you only have to put your GitHub username, so I'm going to do that, PEM2. You can put an Instagram, you can put LinkedIn, you can put Orchid, you can put SoundCloud, your Stack Overflow. There are a lot of options here. You can put a YouTube site, Tumblr, Twitter. So you have all of these options. So I will just leave it there for now because I think I've shown you how to do that. I'm going to commit changes. It says update config.yaml. That's fine. Maybe I'll say add my info to the sidebar. And again, I will commit those changes. And the GitHub Actions should be working right now to deploy our new website. So there we go. We see the green, the brown circle. That means things are currently in action. So while that's going, let's see how we might want to add a picture. So this is where we just were, and it said avatar profile.png. So we want to find where this, I'm actually not sure if there's actually a profile.png in this. I think that might just be a placeholder name. So often these come with a folder called images. And so here we have a list of images from the previous person. There we go. We have a profile.png. It looks like this. That's what this looks like. So what we can do is we can update, we can actually add our own image here. So you might actually want to delete most of these images, because many of them we probably don't need, because they're from the template. But if we wanted to upload an image, let's see. So let's see how, if we go back to images, and we want to add a file. So up here, add file. Let's see if this works. And we're going to upload a file. So we're going to upload a file. It says drag files here or choose your files. So I'm going to just quickly find, here we go. Here's my, my profile photo. I'm going to upload that. It's called page_photo.jpg. Sometimes it probably would have been better for me to upload a PNG, but let's see if this will work. My commit message is add profile photo, and then I'm going to commit those changes. Okay, let's see. Great. Okay. So now I just did that. I'm going to go to images. Let's see if I can find. So here we go. So now I've just uploaded my image here, and it's called page_photo.jpg. Let's now go back to our config.yaml file. So that's where it was listed. That's where we had profile.png. Let's see if it takes JPEG. Again, this is, I haven't gone, I have to edit. This is how I often work, where I'll say, well, let's see if this works. And if it doesn't, then I will update it. So page_photo.jpg. So let's see if that works. So I'm committing that, and if all goes well, that will have updated. Let's see what happened on our website. So here we go. We can see the photo is still rendering, because that was a separate commit that I just did. But the previous one that I did, which had my name, it has my little bio, it has my location, it has my email, and then I just didn't delete these. I haven't actually put those in. Oh, I guess I put my GitHub. So anyway, I hope you can see how easy it is to update these templates. And as I said, it's hard to know how to navigate the files. Once GitHub has indexed it, it gets easier, because you can just search for Twitter. Where do I update my Twitter? You can search for Twitter. It will say Twitter can be found in this file, and then you go in and figure out how to update it. So let's, okay, so this one's still going, this action. Okay, well, we'll see if it works. Should be very soon. While we're waiting for this image to hopefully work, does anyone have any questions about this? Yeah. Yeah, please. Yep. Yes. So here we go. So now it works. Exactly. So indexing, sorry, was that the question? Yeah. Yeah, great. Yeah, so basically when you first create a repository, especially this one which had a lot of files in it, it has to go through and index it. So it actually has to crawl through and kind of look and see what is inside of all of those files, so that when I search for something like sidebar, it can say, look, there are 14 coding files that have sidebar in them. So, and this is what has come up. And so, yep, so now it works. It took, what, 10 minutes? So it's not super long. So this is important to look at. There are a lot of files in our repository that have extensions like, this case it's a CSS or SCSS file. This is an HTML file. We have JavaScript. So we have a lot of these extensions. How these Jekyll templates work is that you do not update the HTML files directly. So HTML is actually the language that creates websites. But how it works is we update the markdown, or also, as I was showing, the YAML file, the .yml file. And those, when I'm looking at the GitHub action to say, oh, it's deployed the website, it has actually created the HTML files for us, which means that we should not be updating those at all. So there are 14 files, but most of them are these have these extensions that I'm not going to touch. This is a change log, that's fine. Again, these are not don't have extensions that I'm interested in. Another HTML, SCSS. All right, let's see if we can actually find it. So there we go. This came up as _config.yaml. And this, it's showing us, this is where sidebar comes up. So it says your sidebar name. Now, we already knew that because I knew where to look. I knew where to look, and that's where it was. So this is actually interesting because it's a little bit out of date, because we actually already updated this to have my name and the updated photo. But that's because when it crawled through the website, that's so interesting. Let's just go back to our home and then go there. When it indexed and did the search, it did that from a previous version of this repository. So anyway, it just takes a little time for it to catch up. I'm still surprised that it still has that. Let's see if this has updated. Okay, so going back to the photo that I added, we can see that it has a question mark. So it probably does not accept JPEG. So let me go to, I'm going to open this up. This is something you can all do on your own computers. Let's see if I can export as a different extension. I'm going to export as PNG because that's what the original one was. I'm going to save it again here, and it's going to be pagephoto.png. I'm just going to add that explicitly. Okay, so now I have the same photo as .png. Let's try that again. Okay. So, okay. So before, when I was saying this is interesting, it actually, when I am in my main root folder and click config.yaml, it's a previous version. It still says your sidebar name instead of Page Martin. That's because we are on a previous commit at the moment. If I click this, this should always say master to be the most up to date. So master, again, these are some GitHub terminology. This should say master, or main is actually how we call it more recently, but older repositories say master. And now if I scroll down, it says Page Martin, as I expect. So I need to first add a new photo. So I'm going to go back to images. I'm going to go back to add file, upload file. I'm just going to choose pagephoto.png. All right, let's see if this one will work. Add PNG version of profile photo. It's my commit message. I'm going to commit that. Okay, and now I'm going to go to config.yaml. I'm going to edit that here. And I'm going to update this to .png. So commit changes. That's fine, just say update, commit. Okay, so now we will wait a few more minutes and see if that works. Are there any questions at the moment? Yeah, great. Yeah, it has been. Uh, so it's a very good question. So I actually don't know that to be the case for this. I don't know how to do kind of what you were talking about. How I developed my own website was so here I forked everything here, and then I've been just making updates in the browser because that's the easiest way to do that. What I did when I created my website, I actually did it in a different way, but anyway, um, I cloned the repository to my local computer and I worked locally. And there are ways to do this. So I'm just going to go back to Academic Pages GitHub site. And if you scroll down in the README, it has instructions for what to do. It also has instructions to run locally, not on GitHub Pages. So what this means is that you can clone the repository to your local computer. You have to follow a few steps, and some of these steps may or may not work, depending on some of what you have. So it gets a lot trickier. And I don't have this set up on my computer right now. But basically, what you want to do is install several packages. Then you use this package called bundle. And ultimately, what you can do is you type in a terminal bundle exec Jekyll live serve in this case, and it will run your website locally. So it's not on the web, but it will render as a website in your browser just with a local address. And that's what it means by localhost. And so then you can make updates. You can see what they will look like online, but no one else will see them. And then when you're ready, then you push all of that back up to GitHub. So you can see why that gets a lot more complicated because you need to install all the packages needed to run the website to your local computer. But once you have everything locally, it's very easy. So unfortunately, I don't have this set up on my computer at the moment, and I think it might be and because I have a Mac, it's probably gonna be different for a lot of you and how this is done. So that's where I will probably say, try and follow these directions. You can also Google how to run a Jekyll website from, for instance, a Windows computer, if that's what you have. And since a lot of people do use Jekyll, you can, there are a lot of resources online. And and I know, Daniel, you're familiar with creating environments. My suggestion would be to install all of this in an environment that's called Jekyll website or something. And then whenever you want to run your website locally, you just activate that environment and everything's ready to go. So it actually works pretty well. But it is more complicated that I unfortunately will not be covering today. Okay. Well, interesting. Oh, that one's probably from the photo. So this one worked. Well, let's see. No, still doesn't work. Okay, well, looks like the build worked. Page, okay, well, let's see. Like I said, when we do things live, you never know. Let's just double check everything. So now there's page_photo.png. Okay. Oh, okay. I think I know what might have happened. So if I go back to my config.yaml, I'm going to go up into the edit. My page underscore photo.png is actually in a folder called images. So I think that I actually have to put that folder name and then with a slash so that it knows where to find this image, which actually means that the PNG or the JPEG image might have worked. That was me thinking that that was the problem. So anyway, let's see if this will work. Just commit that. This is the process. You can see how it works. We often usually get errors. Okay, so that's running. So going back to kind of what your question was, Daniel, one thing that I'm going to show in just a few minutes is another way to have a website on GitHub that doesn't use Jekyll. So this is very specifically using something called Jekyll that automatically takes your markdown files and creates a website. There's also something called Quarto. Let's see. Yeah, I had all of these very well organized for us, but everything got thrown around. Okay, here we go. So this is Quarto. So Quarto, yes, it comes from R and RStudio, but it has expanded to be much more versatile. And you'll actually notice that we're not doing any Python. There's no Python here. So it's not in Python, but Quarto is something that is actually pretty new to me. But one of the things that you can do with it is create a website from markdown files. And they actually call them Quarto markdown. So they're QMD files, not just MD. So we are going to look at this a little bit later. I have not actually created a website on GitHub using this, but I've created a local website. And it was pretty straightforward. One thing that really helped is this tool called Visual Studio Code. So this is something, you don't have to use Visual Studio Code, but I have found it to integrate very well with Quarto. It also integrates very well with GitHub and Git. And especially on a Windows, what can be nice, on a Mac, getting a terminal to do Git commands or anything is really easy. On a window, it can be a little bit more complicated. And all of that you can do from within Visual Studio Code, or VS Code for short. So I'm going to show that in a moment. Let's see if the picture showed up. Not yet. Okay. Let's see. Darn. It did finish, and it's still not showing up. Okay, well, that's a shame. Okay, well, I think we'll have to do some more debugging. I have to figure out what is going on. Let's see. So if we go back to our config file, I put images / here. That did not work. Maybe this has to be, no, it worked before actually without putting images /, didn't it? Now that I'm thinking about it, oh, this is read only. Okay, well, I honestly at the moment, I don't know why that's not working. If someone has a suggestion, let me know. That should have worked. So now that I'm thinking about it, oh, I went right by it. When we first started, it had profile photo.png, and it didn't actually have images, which means that I think it might be built in that when we say avatar, it automatically looks in the images folder. But that didn't work last time, so I'm not sure. That's a mystery. Well, if anyone has any ideas, let me know. Maybe we can come back to this and try and figure that out. And then I can show Quarto in the meantime, because I'm not sure why that's not working. what I might do is look for profile photo.png. Oh, it didn't. Maybe I'm just going to search for a PNG. Okay, there are several PNGs. Let's see if any of these are the ones that I want. Profile. Okay. Oops. So this is probably what I want to update. So this here says locations of key files and directories. The profile image, and also says can set an underscore config.yaml, but that wasn't working. So let me try updating it here. Oh, I can't update this file. Or I can't edit this file. You must be on a branch to propose changes to this file. Okay. Well, I guess I need to create a branch. So there you go. This is how I would go through it. Let's see if we can do that. Let's go to master, and we're going to go to markdown. Now, oh, that's why. I was in a specific commit, not in a master. Okay, so now I can edit. That's good. Thought that was a little strange. So I'm going to say page photo.png. Let's see if that works. Fingers crossed. That will give us the photo that we're looking for. Okay. Well, I hope this is helpful, seeing how I might go about debugging this and figuring out what's going on. And as I said, I haven't done this for a while, so I'm really not going to be great at it. Many of you will probably be much better at this. So, okay, get rid of that. So, I wanted to go back to Visual Studio Code while we're waiting for that photo. So, if you're someone who thinks you might do more coding, I do recommend getting it. This is actually, I use Jupyter notebooks for all of my kind of analysis when I'm doing notebook format. But sometimes I end up just with scripts, and I do tend to use VS Code, and it is pretty widely used in the community. It has some really nice tools here for GitHub. So this isn't a GitHub repository at the moment, so it says you can initialize it. What I'm showing here are extensions. So there are all sorts of extensions, and you can probably get a lot fancier than I've ever gotten. The extension that I recently installed was Quarto. So if you have Visual Studio Code downloaded, which is free, so you can download it for free, then you can search for Quarto, and it will come up with anything that matches that. Now, the one that you will want for what I'm about to show you is Quarto, and you can see that there's a little check mark here. I already have it installed, so I don't need to install it. But if you don't have it installed, then you would need to click this install button there, and it would just install it for you. So you do need to be connected to the internet for that installation. Most of the rest of what I'll show you on Visual Studio Code, you don't have to be connected to the internet. Okay, I'm curious to see if this worked. Ugh, it still didn't work. Well, let's go back. Let's do page, or let's just do .png. Okay. So the markdown.md had it. And then the config.yaml. Well, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with that. I would have to spend some more time and try and figure that out. Well, if anyone's kind of following along and figured out a way around that, let me know. That is surprising. We want to be able to get our photo here. So, okay, well, I think I'm just going to leave this for now. Maybe one of you will figure this out after this, and you can let me know. Okay. Yep, thanks, Daniel. So I'm going to move on to Quarto for a little bit. And I'm just going to show you kind of how you can work with Quarto. So again, this would be downloading Visual Studio Code. You can Google it, Visual Studio Code. It will have a download link ready for you. And then when you open it up, you'll see this sidebar, and you can go to extensions, and that's where you'll see where you can search for Quarto and you can install that. So once you've done that, I'm going to open up the command palette. That's what this is called. And I'm going to, it actually is already up because I recently used it, but if I start typing, Quarto create project, I'm going to click that. So now I'm kind of in this Quarto world, and I'm going to create a project through Quarto. So I'm going to click that. Once I click that, it gives me 4 options, and I am going to click website project because I want to make a website. So I'm going to do that. It will ask me where I want to put it. I just made this Quarto demo site folder, and so I'm going to put it there. So now on the sidebar, I go up to this kind of document link. That's what shows what documents are here. And you can see that it gave me some automatic files. So I have an index.qmd. And it has this format for me. There's an about page that doesn't have much in it that says about this site. There's a YAML file. And notice that these are .qmd. Sorry, these are really tiny. I can't zoom in very well, but these are .qmd files. So those are markdown, but specifically Quarto markdown files. So I'm going to go back to the index one, and I am going to click render. Now let's see if that works. So one of the great things about Quarto is that we're especially working within Visual Studio Code. So you can also do this, I think, in RStudio, but because I'm a Python user, I haven't had RStudio. But in one of these really nice programs, it has this render button here, and it means that I can type something here and it will automatically get rendered over here. So this says title. I'm going to put pages website. And if I save that, maybe I need to re-render it. Now it says pages website. So I'm just going to close this over here so we have some more space. So basically, this is kind of what Daniel was asking before. This is a really nice way to develop a website on your own computer. So none of this is on the internet. You can see the address here in this address bar is localhost. That means that I'm on my local computer, and I can make a website, I can make updates, I can look at it really quickly without the need to actually publish it online. So this is a completely alternate option to the Jekyll one that I was showing before. And I'm showing this one because Quarto is it's a kind of recent thing, especially for websites. So it's very new, and it's I think it's going to be one of the more popular tools moving forward. So Jekyll has been something that's used for many years. So we have a lot of these templates that have been used that are really nice. There are fewer templates for Quarto, but I think that moving forward, Quarto might be a lot of people's go-to options, especially for websites, but they actually have a lot of other great functionality. So you can update. This is my amazing site. Oh, I can't see the render button because of the zoom. So I'm just going to do that. Render it. Then it says, this is my amazing site. So that's that. If we go over here, this is a website by Quarto. that talks about how to get your website started. So I will link to this in the chat. So on this website, it says choose your tool. I'm using VS Code. So again, you can use RStudio. You can also use Terminal if that's your thing. And you follow all these steps. So this is literally what I did. I just showed you Quarto, create project, click the website project. You have to write your directory name. Mine pulled it up on my computer. And then it creates these files. And then it kind of shows you here what you can do. And it shows you how to use the render button, and so on and so forth. So I think this will be really useful. I'm not an expert at this by any means, but this also has the steps for what to do to push all of once you get something that you like on your own computer, how to push that to GitHub. So I believe that is under publishing? GitHub pages. I think that's. So this all here is using GitHub pages. So it shows you, it has all these screenshots and it shows you what to do. So, it says what menus to go in, what choices to make, and then you should be able to get this rendered onto GitHub. So I realize that this is not a comprehensive tutorial today, but I hope that this is at least showing you the possibilities of what you can do. And all of these tools are free. It's which is really great. And you don't need to know HTML to create a really nice website. You can mostly just write text and just kind of copy and paste as needed. So, are there any questions on anything I've said? I'll do my best to answer them. Has anyone been following along and able to make their own website yet? No, maybe not. Oh, okay. Curtis just said that you're having trouble hearing me. Thanks for letting me know. Is this... Maybe I will turn my video off. Does that make it any better? Hopefully you didn't miss too much of what I was saying. Mostly I was just asking if you all had any questions or any comments, or if you had anything, if you had a website that you wanted to show us all, if you already have a website up. I'm still curious why why the photo wasn't rendering. No, that's not it. I lose things all the time. Okay, why the photo isn't showing up here. So, that's something that I honestly don't have any ideas at the moment. I would have to really poke around to see. So a few things here. One thing that's really nice about GitHub, if this repository is for a website, you can put the link here. Now this is here from the original code So I am going to just put my name there, or my username. And then description, I'll update that and say page's website. And now over here, if someone clicks this, it will take you right to the website. So I am a little worried that this template is a little bit out of date, and so the photo is not rendering correctly, which is less than ideal. But it's probably something silly because that's usually what happens. So yeah, I really don't know. Search .png. Well, I won't take too much of everyone's time here, because I don't know how to update that. If I do figure it out, I will let you know. And if you figure it out, please let me know. You can, if you don't like the academic pages one, the template, there are others. So you can search for academic website templates with Jekyll, and you'll get a list of all sorts of things here. So academic website template, Alfolio, that's one that I've heard of. Let's see. So Alfolio I think can be quite nice. Let's see if there's a link to that website. Oh, where's the link? Okay, don't know where the link is. That's very strange. Well, that's why they should have added a link over here. Then I could click on the link and get to it really easily. But if we just go to, let's see. Well, anyway, this is another one. I think if I just go to Al-Shadivat, there we go. Nope, that's not one of them. Okay, well, here's another template. That would be really nice if they had a link. They must have a link to their websites. So this one actually lists other templates. So minimal mistakes is another one. That's actually the one that I used for my website. So that's what this looks like. So again, it's called Minimal Mistakes. It's a Jekyll theme. You can install it. You can customize it. It has all of these things. It has a quick start guide to know how to use it. So that's what I used for my website. That's another option. So anyway, you can just kind of Google if you want to look at other themes. There are some free Jekyll themes from the Jekyll website. Let's see what here. So Alfolio is the top one here. So anyway, you can look and see what other themes there are. Academic, Jekyll Academic. There are a lot of people who have made themes. So anyway, you can really go down the rabbit hole here. Let's see. One other thing to note is that this has a license with it, which is the MIT license. This is a very common open source license, and if you click on it, it tells you what it allows you to do. So this says a short and simple permissive license with conditions only requiring preservation of copyright and license notices. So it tells you you can use this for commercial use, you can modify it, you can distribute it, you can use it for private use, but it has some limitations here as well. And there's kind of more written about this. So an MIT license is pretty standard. Because we forked this from someone else, I think we have to keep it as an MIT license. But it's important to pay attention to those licenses. I guess the other thing I will say is this README here has instructions for how to use this template. So we could update that as well. So if I edit that, I can just get rid of everything here. Get rid of all of it. And say, this repo houses the files for my personal website. You can check it out at pem2.github.io. So something, you can put whatever you want. So again, I'll update that. And that one is actually not on the website, so that one will be updated right away. So now the README just is this one line, and it says here, actually I should make that, this is a markdown file. I can make this a link, and I can copy and paste, commit changes, and then it's a nice link to the website, hopefully. Nope, it's not. Maybe I need to do https://. Let's try that. There we go. So now it links to our site. Questions? Comments? Anything? Anyone want to discuss anything? Okay, well, I hope that your task is to figure out how to update that photo and have it work, and let me know. That would be really great. And if I figure it out, I will also, I can let you all know, probably on the Slack if you all are there, which we haven't been using much, but we can continue to use that throughout the year as needed. Okay. I'm trying to think of other things that would be good to share. Maybe I can show you. This is one person who I know uses a Quarto website. So just so you can see what it looks like, you can use some different templates as well, but this is what a Quarto website looks like on the web. So you can have, folders, you can have these, it's very similar to the Jekyll site. And you can have links to your social media and stuff up there. Okay. So I will stop sharing for now. Hopefully my audio wasn't too bad. Sorry about that. I will hang out for a few more minutes if there are any other questions or comments. Yes, hello. Oh, great. Great. Yeah, please do. As I said, I'm not really an expert. I just think this is an incredible tool to have where you can make your own website. It also is a good way if you are interested in, getting better at GitHub and Git. It's also a good excuse to do that. But yeah, please reach out with questions. It's very likely that you all will be more of an expert on this than me soon if you spend any time on this. So I would love to, hear your questions and comments, and maybe you can help me next year. Yep. So you can, uh, yes, I believe that you can do this through an organization. Um, so there are organizations on GitHub. So, I mean, first of all, you can just have your organization have an account on GitHub. And then just make, if your organization is called COESSING, you could create a login on GitHub called COESSING, and then they would be at coessing.github.io. You also can have, I didn't mention this before, you can create your own custom URL. So you can use this as kind of the back end, but if you've bought a URL domain, you can also use that with GitHub. So that's another option. Um, you can also create what's called an organization on GitHub, which is kind of similar to creating an account. So yes, you can use it for all of these. The main limiting factor is that you get one kind of free URL, and that is whatever the username is .github.io. I hope that. Yeah. And I see something in the chat from Oolabi. So it said, can I repeat how to create the personal page from the forked repository? Yes. Let's see. I am losing the websites where I have been working. I have too many things open. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna grab this back over and I can share again. So, share my screen. Okay, so basically so this is the original repository, and this is where I clicked fork. I went through the steps earlier so that I get all of these files here at my own site. Now that doesn't create the website right away. So what does create the website? And this is actually a good question. What creates the website once I have all of these files in my own repository is the GitHub actions that I was showing you. So what's going on here? These deployment ones. So GitHub actions only occur when they are triggered. And forking a repository does not trigger those actions. So I just kind of, to kind of trigger that, all I need to do is make any addition or edit to any file. And so you can do that anywhere. So the first thing that I did was I went to underscore pages and about.md. You can do what you want. And I went to the upper corner here and clicked edit this file, and I just changed something. You can just put something here. I just changed this file. It doesn't have to be anything useful right now. And then when I click commit changes, it will commit that, which means that I've basically edited. And then when I go to actions, I will see that this is now this brown circle, and that means that an action has been created, and that's what actually creates the website. So it's kind of tricky. I mean, I copied over all the files, and it's not a website yet, but all I need to do is update something in there, and then it will trigger these actions, and it will make the website. So, and then every time I've made an update or an edit, it runs these workflows. So you can see here deployment number 1, and it goes all the way up. This one now is deployment number 14. So I've done a lot of these. So I hope that was the question that you were asking. Was that clear? Yeah, no, thanks. That was a really good question because I didn't really explain that. Thanks for asking. So if you are familiar with Git and GitHub, and you know how to clone this locally, meaning that you can just copy all these files to your local computer. You could also update everything locally and then push them back to GitHub, and that will also trigger an action. So basically, anytime some file here is updated, and there are many ways to do that, it will trigger an action and create the website or update the website. Any more questions? These have been very good. Thanks for asking them. Okay, well, I will hang out for another minute or two. If you come up with questions, ask them. Here you can unmute, you can type in the chat. You can also ask questions in the Slack. And, the Slack is a nice place to ask questions because other people might see them and might be able to answer them as well. Since, as I said, I'm certainly not the expert in this, but I do think it's just incredible tools to have. Okay. Well, if I don't hear other questions or see anything in the chat, I will stop my personal recording. I will try and get that uploaded. It will not be soon because I'm going to be traveling for the next 2 days, but I will try and get that uploaded sometime next week so you can all go back and follow along in case that's helpful. And yeah, thank you all for being here.